Hi there, everyone, and welcome to another episode of my album reviews. My name is Christian Eschbach, and today we are going to be taking a look at one of the greatest, most classic albums of all time, Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon. I hate reviewing these albums, these big monster classics. If you saw my review for Appetite for Destruction, same thing. You can't say anything about these albums that hasn't been said before. All I can really do is, give my reflections on the album. Now, this particular version is the 92 digitally remastered version. It's not the initial pressing they did. The version of Dark Side of the Moon I had for most years was the initial CD pressing they did of Dark Side of the Moon, which, well, nice, doesn't have quite the same sound quality. This version here is my girlfriend Tracy's version, and I was happy to listen to this and pop this on. Now, I'm reviewing this one because I'm actually going to follow this up with another album afterwards in the next review, and it makes total sense when you watch them back to back. Pink Floyd, first of all, both a highly overrated band and a highly underrated band, depending on which way you want to look at it. Highly overrated as in the fact that musically, they are phenomenal. I love the experimentation in Pink Floyd. I love the stuff that they're willing to do, willing to try out, play around in the studio. They are a recording band, without a doubt. They are a recording band. But at the same time, Gilmour is a fantastic guitarist. His style of playing is exemplary. But the only other guitarist I could ever compare him to would be Eric Clapton, because he plays in that slow hand style. He plays very slow, very loose, kind of like, he's not Steve Vai or, John Five or, guitarists like that, right? Not to say that he's not a fantastic guitarist, just what he does is more easy to replicate than what other guitarists might do. You know what I'm saying? Roger Waters himself has made comments about the skill level of other musicians in the band. Roger Waters as a bassist, is quite good. I like Roger Waters as a bassist. He does not only what a bass is supposed to do, but he adds a certain inflection to it. But Roger Waters really isn't an overly complicated bassist either. He is and he isn't, Like, if you actually sit there and look at the transcripts, he's kind of repetitive. But that's because bass is kind of repetitive. It's the rhythm, right? And that repetitiveness is what allows Gilmour to kind of flourish the way that he does. But when you listen to this album, this sounds like the most brilliant cohesive unit there is on the planet. You wouldn't think that the band was only like, 2 albums away from basically shattering, but let's just get into it, okay? So the best part about this album is the first track, the second track, and the third track basically just kind of have this beautiful flow right into each other. So you go with the first track, which is Speak to Me, Breathe. And, just the flow through there. And I love the nuances that are added in there from the band recording, friends and whatnot, or people in the studio or whatnot, having a little conversation about little things, and then inserting those little clips. It's become commonplace nowadays when you listen to, like, say, Rob Zombie, or you listen to Marilyn Manson, or a lot of industrial like music, or even sampling in general for hip-hop, stuff like that, right? So, back then, that was something new, now normal, but they helped pioneer that. And on here, it sounds great. It's fantastic. And that first track leads in On the Run, which just really, boom, gets you going and takes you and gets you moving. And at this point, you're just like, wow, it is. You're just moving. You're moving and moving and moving and moving. And it's not until you hit the third track where you actually get a moment to realize, whoa, what the fuck's going on? And by the time you get that moment to realize what the fuck's going on, you get a barrage of alarm clocks going off, and now all of a sudden you're into Time. Time is my favorite song on this album. It's my favorite song to karaoke. From this album, not from Pink Floyd in general, or not in general, but off this album, I love to karaoke Time. Fun song, has so many different ranges in it, not harmonically or whatnot, or not pitch or stuff like that, but with the tempos, the paces, the passion, the character you can put into it, like it's a great tune to sing. And on here, it clocks in at about 7 minutes and a little change, but almost 2 minutes of that is the clock thrown off in the beginning. So yeah, I could ramble on and on and on about Time. From there, we go into The Great Gig in the Sky. Once again, another fantastic song, and the simplicity of the vocal line, going back to that simplicity. No vocals, just I'm not even going to try. I do not have that type of voice. For starters, I'm a man. Just no. So, Great Gig in the Sky. And the best part about The Great Gig in the Sky is it was actually a radio-friendly song. Not to say that it got played all the time, but myself as a kid, years after this album had come, decade or more after this album had come out, you listen to rock stations and they'd still play this song. Even today they still put it on because it's that fantastic of a song. And all it is, the band doing what the band does instrumentally while this beautiful voice comes over top and just belts out these beautiful ahs, There we go into Us and That. Or no, sorry, my apologies. We go into what is probably the most recognized commercial song, and I almost skipped it. Something to say about that, right? Pink Floyd's Money. You can say what you want about which songs are the most popular Pink Floyd songs. Money is definitely up there, okay? Without a doubt, definitely up there. Probably top 3 for their most played songs on the radio. Because even to this day, Money gets played in its full entirety. They start with the cash register when they play that song, and they go the whole way through. And yet again, there's something simple about it, but it's not simple at the same time. Like that bass line, the doom 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 doom. Now, you get into that, it's such a cool groove and whatnot. And the average listener doesn't pay attention to time signatures. And this is the thing with Pink Floyd. They play simplicity, but they do it simplicity in a slightly different time signature, and it makes everything amazing because the song's done in 7/8. So that alone just gives it a whole new feel, a whole new vibe for a groove that's relatively simple. But you don't have to play something really overly great to make it a great tune, right? Not everything has to be Stairway to Heaven. After that, now we go into Us and Them. Great tune. I love the comparative back and forth with the us, and them. I like it. I like the playing back and forth. It's good. I love the fact that Pink Floyd really, right from the get-go, was into stereo. I believe this album was originally pioneered in quadraphonics, and I believe I was told they pioneered quadraphonics. So, and for those that don't know, quadraphonics would have been like stereo before there was, or not stereo, surround sound back before there was surround sound. Imagine surround sound with no center. That's quadraphonic. These guys just, their sound was amazing, and Us and Them is a great representation of their sound and how they knew to sound in the studio and to get this big loud projection like sound. But it works to their strengths because when Pink Floyd was playing live and playing arenas, they were a band that was meant to play arenas, where they were meant to have the big loud reverb and echo coming off the building and to get that whole essence of their sound going, and Us and Them, just great way to do it. Now, from there, the album kind of goes really quick again. You know, I love how fast the album starts, and then at the end, it kind of does the same thing. It goes out really quick because, you know, you get this great solid center, okay? And on CD, it's a solid center. This would have been broken up on the album. You know, on the album, I believe the first side ended after the Great Gig in the Sky, and then the second side picked up on Money, if I remember correctly. I don't. It's been a while since I've looked at the vinyl. Sorry, but CD wise, you know, you got this great fast start that gets you going until you hit the third song, boom, and then at the end, you know, after Us and Them, you go to Any Color You Like, Brain Damage, and Eclipse, and there's a lot going on in all of there, but you get lost in all of it because you think it's one solid song with, you know, a couple parts that moves by rather quickly. But the reality is, it's just well written, impressive music that explores the music and they get into it. Like that's the thing about Pink Floyd. That was the beauty of Pink Floyd, at least up until The Wall. You know, now a lot of people will say, well, this is their best album. Other people will say The Wall is their best album. I think it's the album in between that was their best album because it was their last true experimental album. This album, the experimentation on it is just, I hate to keep using the word, you know, turn this one into a drinking game every time you hear the word experiment or a variation of experiment. Take a shot. Um, just incredible, you know, everything that they do on here, you know, and it was, I want to say the original band, but it's not the original band because it's not Sid, right? But this is the band that everybody knows. This is the band that everybody loved, and this was probably their last true blue album as a band. I think after this, Waters got way too much control, but I'll get into that more so later on different reviews. Anyways, this is a fantastic album. If you've not purchased Dark Side of the Moon, there's something wrong with you. Everybody should have a copy of Dark Side of the Moon. You know, there's a reason why it's been on Billboard off and on for decades. You know, seriously, it creeps back off and on for decades. Fantastic album, folks. Just pick it up, listen to it, enjoy. And then until the next review, where we get into this album being covered by the Flaming Lips. Oh, yeah, we're going there, baby. So, until next time, peace. I love you all. Take care.